I'm scared to teach tonight. I think I'm going to call this class off before we get started tonight. I think I'm getting the omen. I'm getting the sign.
He's getting psyched for the 6th.
Yeah, I tell you, that's right. Getting psyched for the 6th. Well, welcome to the Hardcore Way of Mastery class. And if any of y'all give me a hard time, I'm sick and hard. I know what to do tonight. All right, just remember, you don't have to believe the doggone thing that you hear. Okay, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to welcome it. Some of it might be hard to believe. Some of it might be quite startling. But if you use it, you'll see that it's true. This is the way of mastery. And we are in the section called the way of transformation. And but I'd like to take a few minutes to get us centered. So if you get comfortable for a second and just kind of relax yourself and ask yourself a very important question. Like the Course in Miracles says, one of the main questions we need to ask ourselves is, where do I go for protection? Where do I really go for protection? What is it that really makes me safe? Where do I really go for protection? I mean real protection. Now remember, listen to this and remember this. It's time for us to become happy dreamers. The Course in Miracles, the way of mastery, says that we are in a dream. It's time to have a happy dream instead of a nightmare. Do you want a happy dream instead of a nightmare? Huh? Do you want a happy dream instead of a nightmare? Do you want a happy dream instead of a nightmare? This is what you can have. Listen to this.
I'm a happy dreamer. I believe in love. I'm a happy dreamer. Guess I'm not the only one. I'm a happy dreamer. I believe in you and me. I'm a happy dreamer.
So I want you to think of something or someone that you need to forgive. Someone that you need to release a grievance toward. Think of something that you need to forgive and release. To forgive means to 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 release. Think about something that you need to let go. Need to let go. Let it 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 go. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm a happy dreamer.
Don't let your grievances block your miracles.
I believe in love.
Don't let your grievances block your miracles. Don't let your grievances block your miracles. I forgive you. You are perfectly neutral. I choose now to remember you, to embrace again, that I might bless you. I release you. You are perfectly neutral. I choose now to remember you, to embrace again, that I might bless you. I go, God is the love in which I forgive you. God is the love in which I forgive you. God is the love in which I forgive you. God is the love in which I forgive you. God is the love in which I forgive you. God is the love in which I forgive you. God is the love in which I forgive you.
I'm a
forgive myself. God is the love in which I forgive myself. God is the love in which we forgive ourselves. I was thinking, if I don't know, I'm not sure if I had the camera on or not at the very beginning. I was thinking that'd be a very interesting entrance to the class.
It was on.
It wasn't on? Okay, good. I could just keep the first 30, F off, all of y'all. That's a class on love and peace. We got a class here on love and peace. Anybody that needs to be serious all evening, you're going to be in hell, because the course in the Way of Master talks about spirit should be joyful, and it should be something that's light. And so I'm going to be deep, but I'm not going to be serious. So that we can experience some of the joy that we're studying all this stuff, so that we'll be able to have. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go through some of the material as usual, then I'm going to open it up for questions and discussion for a certain period of time, and then go through more of the material so that we'll hear more of the Way of Mastery and these new ideas, as well as getting a chance to focus in on a clearer understanding of them. And I love to work directly out of the book as much as possible. I do that to encourage you to do the same, because that means you don't really need me ultimately. All you need is your own commitment and your own dedication. And if I can make the journey easier, then that's what I'm here to do. But I can't take the place of your own personal work. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what sometimes we forget. I'm going to do the section that's called We Embrace Your Choice for Healing. And that's on... Yes, it's on page 224, part 2, in the Way of Transformation. We embrace your choice for healing. So let's have some fun tonight and try not to think in our normal way. Let's just kind of be out of the box for 90 minutes. It says, we abide in the dimension of consciousness in which there are no barriers. Everything is perfectly transparent. We are very aware then simply by selecting to turn our attention to whomever we wish, exactly what you are currently involved in healing. Rest assured, each time you choose a loving thought, each time you choose to join with us to be the arisen Christ, which is the arisen love, you spark joy within us. For we are embracing with you in the light your choice for healing. So it's basically saying to us that they're on the invisible side of things. Those parts of us on the invisible side of things are in a dimension that we came from, that there aren't any such things as barriers, where everything is perfectly transparent, and they become very conscious of exactly what we're doing in our healing journey that we're doing right now, and they're glad. So every time it's just like me saying, every time any one of you choose to go for your sanity, I'm glad about that. And this just like you saying, whenever I choose to allow myself to be happy, you're glad about that, because if I'm happy, then you're not going to have a lot of problems out of me. Mm-hmm. So that's going to make things better for you, and we're one, right? So I'm happy when you're happy, because it's not unhappy people that cause all the challenges in our experience. It's those who are not happy that's kicking up all this crap, right? Those parts of ourselves that's not happy. So it says separation cannot exist. Your healing brings us joy. So now the cat must come out of the bag. We truly come to you and help you heal for very selfish reasons. So I could say, I truly come to you and help you heal for my very selfish reasons. Because I know that as you heal, my joy is going to be uplifted and extended. So suppose every time I was happy, it made you happier. How much would you be invested in the happiness of everyone else if you knew that every time they became happier, it would uplift you and take you up to another level of happiness? Suppose we actually looked at things like that. Like your happiness is actually going to uplift me and bring more happiness and joy in my life. So we know that as you heal, you come closer and closer to remembering. So healing from a way of mastery perspective is remembering. So healing is remembering. Remembering what? That you already are all that we are. So the more that we remember that we are also unlimited, then that is what true healing is recognizing that there's no difference between us and any being that was created by God. We have the same powers, the same abilities, the same level of love. We are not different from the highest being that you can think of. It's all a part of us, which I think is good news. So then it says, when we play in a dimension that seems to not include physicality, and you seem to play in a dimension that includes physicality. So if you are not your body, then you are consciousness, you're a spirit, right? You're a mind. Well then, if that's true, that you're not your body, then would you continue to have consciousness and awareness if you are without one?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's true, then why don't you accept the fact that there are consciousness that are not in the body, that are just as aware as we are, but they exist in a dimension that's not physical, and we exist in a dimension that is physical. So we are all consciousness, but we chose to enter physical reality, and so we have this body, and the purpose of this body is to allow us to communicate and to function in this reality. So this is our spacesuit, basically. And then there's some parts of us that's not in one. There's naked consciousness. Right. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think you ought to class on that.
You could go naked consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. All right. Yeah, cool. Is everybody in here over 18? Oh, okay. Okay, dog, that means I gotta hold back what I say.
No, you don't.
Okay, because usually adults are much more prudish about talking openly than young people are. And, that's
Yeah.
and sometimes that can be on and down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's adults. You got to watch every little word you say and how you say it and what is prim and whether it's proper, you know. So I just wanted to check in to see if we could kind of be okay just to talk like adults talk for an evening. Is that cool?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it says that as you become transparent to creation, the sense of separation dissolves. That means more and more and more we dance together. All right? More and more we dance together, what? In the eternal joy of the atonement. So we're dancing together because we're bringing creation back to the love of God. Every time we get together, we're bringing creation back to the love of God. So we are transforming creation tonight. We are illuminating creation tonight. And we are creating within creation itself the means by which the good, the holy, and the beautiful are extended forever. You are here so that the good and the holy and the beautiful can be extended forever. You are the good, the holy, and the beautiful. You're the good, and if you go to certain clubs that you're dancing together in eternal joy, then you are here to extend the good, the holy, and the beautiful. Okay, so and it extends and it extends forever. Depends on where you go and then. So what are we here to extend? The good, the holy, and the beautiful. That's because you are the good, the holy, and the beautiful.
Yes.
And that's what you are going to be extended forever. That's what you've been extending since creation. That's who you really are. So that means that you don't need to suffer, 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 you do not need to suffer, you don't 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 need to suffer. Did I say you don't need to suffer? You don't need to suffer, you don't need to suffer, because the suffering with which you may yet be identified, that suffering need not be. So whatever you're suffering about, you don't have to. Whatever you're suffering about, you don't have to. It's only by choice that you're holding the suffering in your mind. So I got two choices. I could think something that doesn't make me suffer, or I could think something that I used to make me suffer, but the choice is in my mind. So that's why I don't need to suffer, because I'm choosing to think the things that make me suffer. So that's why you don't need to suffer. So it's only by choice that you can be healed, because it's only by choice that you suffer. So it's only by choice that you can be healed, but to be healed means to be released. So I'm healing when I'm releasing. So, beloved friends indeed, for we take with great sincerity the use of that word, indeed. We are indeed with you always. I think what's really cool about this is that if we for just an instant were to consider the source that this material is coming from, which is it talking as if there is something outside of the dimension that we're in right now, that in itself would call for opening your mind far beyond what we normally think every day. If we were just to consider the whole premise that this is some channel material that's coming outside of the dimension that we think we're in, by a consciousness that's greater than us, that's trying to direct us and heal us, Just being with that for a minute would take us into an altered state of consciousness and out of our ordinary awareness. That's why I'm attracted to this stuff, because it talks about things that are outside the box, things that are outside our ordinary awareness. And that's refreshing to my soul. Is it refreshing to some of your soul?
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that you are hearing something that's outside the norm. You know, when the world agrees with you a whole lot, you need to be kind of worried about that. You know, it's almost like the step that you're becoming more sane, and sometimes the world will be calling you insane. That's how you can kind of tell you must. But as you wake up, you realize you can think totally different without attracting drama. It's not necessary to frighten anybody with the way that you think, even though you're thinking something different. Then you find yourself surrounded by people in your inner circle that you can express yourself freely with. So, which makes it easier when you're around those parts of yourself that would be frightened by the truth, because it is our self. There's just one self. That's it. This is it, right? And out of all the places in the universe, out of all the dimensions we could be expressing ourselves in, we chose to be here together right now. Out of all the things that could be happening right now in your life, you chose to be here. Think about that for a minute. Out of everything that could have happened to you, this is where you're choosing to be, out of all the choices. And that's not an accident. The Way of Mastery says that that's because you attracting to you all of the situations and circumstances that you need to wake you up to who you really are. That whatever you think you're going through right now, no matter how challenging it is or how peaceful it is, it's been something perfectly orchestrated by the universe to give you the optimum experience that you need to have in order to recognize yourself as love. So that means there's not anything happening in your life right now that's not being divinely orchestrated for your awakening. So whatever you're going through right now is a neutral event, and so it can be used for love or it can be used for fear, but the event itself is neutral. No matter what each one of us are going through right now, no matter what it is. So it then says, we are indeed with you always. Please notice then that in this lesson we have chosen to transmit the thought we rather than I. For although the one that you have identified as Yeshua is very much part of this communication, please understand, no one heals alone. No one heals alone. No one heals alone. It's not set up like that. So the extension of the good, the holy, and the beautiful is never done alone. You're not going to have to do anything that's real. You'll never do anything that's real alone. So you'll never be alone to do anything that's real. I love that. So creation is a collaboration. This is a collaboration. And creation is a collaboration. Meditation is a collaboration with God. So when I'm meditating, it's supposed to be a time of collaboration with my higher self. Collaboration with my spiritual self. He says, this is why relationship is the means for your salvation. Relationship is the means for our healing. And all healing involves the whole of creation. So real healing involves all of us. If it's real, it involves all of us. If it's not real, it seems to involve some of us. Anything that's real embraces all of us. Anything that's not real seems like it's specific and special to you. That's why anything that you call your own that's personal to you is nothing you take with you and nothing that's permanent. Because nothing that's real is something you can have by yourself. Nothing that's real is something that you're the only one can have. So everything you think you're the only one that has it, you know that's something that's going to end. Even if it ends in death. And if you say, I got this relationship with just this person and it's just for me, then at some point the bodies are dropped. So there's nothing that's yours personally that you're taking with you. Consciousness, what's real is something we can all have. What's real is something we can all have. But no matter what we have personally created, whatever we personally made can be used to make us aware of what's real and what we can all have. So therefore, whatever your life, however your life is, whoever's in your life right now, whatever you're enjoying right now, could be used as a tool of awakening. I don't care what it is. It could be used to wake you up. That's why it's there. Wow. Wow. Now, any thoughts, any questions, any comments about this much of the Way of Mastery? It's a good time. You can share your thoughts. You can ask a question. This is your time. I'm so good. I am just ridiculous. I mean, when I get through talking, nobody has nothing to say. That's great. Yes.
Yeah, I was saying, as I've been spending this week with a call for God being creating a lot of confusion and chaos in my life, and I was thinking, like, God, I feel like I'm just wandering around in a maze, lost, and then I began to realize, well, maybe it's not a maze, maybe it's really a labyrinth, you know, and then no matter how I walk it, it's going to end up in the center.
That would be a great attitude to have about it. You're in the labyrinth of life.
Yes.
Yes. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Write that
Yeah,
down.
that's right. That's right. I got another spiritual name that came through today.
Oh.
Cool. Another spiritual character, you know, that's Broda.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mr. Yummy.
Oh, not
Now,
cute.
Mr. Yummy,
Mr. Yeah. I like that.
Mr. Yummy only has one purpose, and that's to show you and remind you of just how divinely yummy you are.
Ooh.
That's right.
Whoa.
So
I like
Mr.
that.
Yummy is going to have it. So he'll be coming through. It's a bunch of them that's kind of coming together. And it'll be interesting to see. But don't forget, there's Mr. Yummy.
Mr. Yummy. Yay, Mr. Yummy.
And that's right. That's right. And so yes, it's a labyrinth. That's
There
what
you
that
go.
would be a good way.
Labyrinth.
Did that make you feel better to look at it that way?
It took a lot of the pressure off.
That's how you know it's a correct perception.
Yeah.
See, that's how you can tell when it's not complicated. You can tell when something is a correct perception because it says God's answer is some form of peace, right? So the answer that comes from spirit is always something, an answer that's going to give you more peace, but it won't be tempting you to attack, right? Anybody else? Mm-hmm. Carol.
Suffering need not be. The
Mhm.
suffering with which you get de-identified need not be. I think that truth is really powerful, and it is only by choice. And I ask myself, well, what would be my choice? And I immediately think whatever I desire.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of the fail-safe to choosing your way out of suffering.
Is
Choosing whatever it is you desire.
what you
Following
truly
your
desire.
thread.
Right. Well, you know, like the way a master said, what are the 4 keys to the kingdom? Desire, intention, allowance, and surrender. Desire, intend, allow, surrender. Desire, intend, allow, surrender. Desire, intend, allow, surrender. Desire, intend, allow, surrender. Yeah, so everything starts with desire. So there's no fire. If there's no fire in the hole, something is wrong. You know, if there's you don't have any enthusiasm about whatever it is you say you want. Is that something you really want? Or is it something maybe you're asking for that you think you ought to ask for, but it's not really what turns you on? Anybody else?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Could you speak to, because we're not our body, but
Mhm.
what I find is that when I am in that state of chaos and confusion, you know, I had a situation happen today with the house and the cabinets didn't get delivered and you know, and I was doing all of the stuff up here to try to shift the perception. I was like, I just need to go and get in my body. So I went and did yoga, and it all just became very clear what needed to happen, and then it just fell in line. But I had to get into my body. So could you speak to, if we're not our body, what is that dichotomy that's happening?
Well, it isn't so much as being in your body, was that you use your body as a means to heal and to release and get in touch with your center. You see what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
actually use your body for the purpose of remembering sanity and peace. And it took the form of yoga, but what it did was brought you back to the remembrance that peace could be a choice that you're feeling, which is beautiful. So the body is our medium of communication here. It's our way of healing at this level, allowing the truth to come through us. And it shouldn't be something that we knock or feel guilty about or attack or feel bad about, anything like that. I love how the Course says that the Holy Spirit can use anything that we made. And it says, think of it this way. You're a God child who has the ability to create anything in your consciousness and in your mind that you want to. Only rule is, if it's not love, it can't last forever. That's the fail-safe. So anything that's not based on love and rooted in love is not going to be something that lasts. It's going to end. It's going to have a beginning and it's going to have an end. And so we're like children who are playing a game, who've created a reality to play in to get in touch with who we really are in. And if we looked at it more that way, we'd be amazed at how much easier it would all go and how much more peace and love we would experience in it. And that's why we keep being told, y'all have forgotten who you are.
Mm.
You now think you are the bodies that you inhabit, and then you're believing that you're separate from your source. And you even came up with some crazy beliefs like you're guilty and sinful that you punish yourself for. So the pain that you're experiencing is coming from your sense of unconscious guilt and thinking you're separate from God. That's really where it's coming from. And then you're in a system of thinking that taught you that you're bad, so if you think you're bad, then there's a part of you that believes you need to be punished. And so you create painful situations for yourself out of the lack of love that you are showing to yourself. And that's where all the suffering comes from. It's coming from a call for love, feeling like I'm lacking love and not loving myself. That's why else would I create one drama after another another challenge after another challenge, unless there's some part of me that believes I need to suffer. And why do I think I need to suffer? Because I've been told that I'm somehow separate from love, separate from God, guilty, sinful, you name it. So these books are trying to tell us that's a lie. That's not true. You're innocent. You make mistakes. Mistakes are for correction. You're not by yourself. You can be healed. You can have your mind changed. But everything, he says, requires some level of attention and study. That if you're really serious, then you're going to give this some attention and you're going to give it some study. But your body is great. It's like, see, saying that you're not your body is not the same as saying you don't have one and that it's not to be used for what you used it for healing.
Say that again?
Saying you are not your body does not mean you don't have a body. So your body is to be used for your healing and your awakening. So it's not. So these courses are not anti-body. They're anti-suffering and anti-pain. But the Course in Miracles says the ego part of the mind, the part of the mind that thinks we deserve to suffer, is threatened by what we call baser physical desires, and it's also just as much threatened by what we think of as lofty spiritual desires. That both of those things are threatening to the part of you that wants to be separate. So you can't be okay about what you do with your body, and you can't be thinking these God truth thoughts either, because that's a threat to the part of you that believes in fear and separation. Right? Think about it. Even physical sex, for instance, is a form of joining. Right? And think about all of the fearful thoughts and guilty thoughts that are projected around that particular act. More than almost any other thing you can do. Because what? It's a form of symbolic. It's a form of joining. So the ego is the part of us that wants us to be separate in every way. So that's one of the reasons why that part of our mind is so quick to project a lot of guilt around sexuality, because that's a form of joining. The ego, the part of us that doesn't want us to connect, it's against communication unless the communication is being used to make us believe we're more and more separate and different from each other. It's called a political event. Right? Think about a political rally. It's a bunch of people getting together to communicate on behalf of separation. just like the Course tells us, that there's a part of you that doesn't want to communicate if it's going to create joining and harmony and peace, because that undoes the part of you that doesn't love you. It gets rid of the ego. So every time we come together like this, it's a threat to the part of us that believes in separation and fear. And it's an unconscious thing. That's why no matter how much sometimes people say they want these kind of groups and these kind of classes, it's interesting how much most people, that's not something they partake of on any kind of a consistent basis. Because there's an unconscious desire to separate. So anybody else before I go on with this?
I just wanted to share about this lady. What is your first name?
Ara.
I'm Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi. The body, like, right. I have such a right, we're spirit, and the body's this dumb meat suit that we're driving around every day. But recently, I was able to have a lot of consciousness around like what I hold in my body. So if the Course is teaching us the letting go, you know, I was really able to really understand, and especially like down here, and to really visualize almost like little rocks that I'm carrying in my body. And through meditation, understanding maybe one rock is disappointment and another rock is, you know, guilt or regret. And it's really helped me sort of hand over these obstacles to Holy Spirit, hand over these obstacles to maybe where in my life I experienced that guilt or the relationships. And it's just really helped me release and also be more comfortable about being in my body and not look at it as like this dumb meat suit that, you know, we're imprisoned in because we are these enlightened spirits. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
There's some times in the Course of Miracles, that's what I was telling people about this workshop I'm doing on the 6th. It's like, it's going to be very heavily centered in the Course, in another level of the Course. And it's going to be intense for those who probably haven't done any work in the Course themselves on their own at all. Because I'm going to cover some things and share some things in there that I don't share in most classes, because in most cases that it wouldn't mean anything to anybody if they haven't been looking at it at all, you know. But it literally says in the Course many times that we're using the body as a jail for your mind to live in. And that's really what it is. And so we're not seeing our body in a way.
Yeah.
We're supposed to look at our body as if it's some type of a divine nest or cave. So if a bird lands in a nest, it's not trapped by the nest. It can leave the nest and come back, and leave the nest and come back. And that's the way we're supposed to be able to do with our bodies. Our consciousness is supposed to be able to leave our body, come back, which is what happens every single night when you go to sleep.
Yes.
Every single night when you go to sleep, your consciousness leaves your body. And it's during your sleep that you are constructing the events that are going to happen to you the next day.
Wow.
That's the workshop, is at night when you sleep. And when you're in dream reality, you're in much more what our natural state is like than you are when you're sitting up here in a class like this thinking you're limited to the physical body. So all if you notice in a dream, you have a lot more freedom of expression. And you can be asleep for 20 minutes, but if you tried to tell a person everything that happened in the dream, it could take hours. So you're in a totally different dimension of time when you're in dream. You're outside of time as we know it too. So dreams are very important. Dreams are, that's what the Course is saying, is trying to transform our fearful dream to a happy dream. And then it says from a happy dream, we wake up to who we really are. That you don't go straight from miserable to enlightenment. That there's an in-between state. The fearful dream, the happy dream, waking up. So when I feel okay about being in whatever place I'm expressing myself, and I feel totally innocent, and I feel love, and I feel safe, then that's when I know that I'm not trapped. How could I be trapped from where I love? Why would I see being in something that I love, around beings that I love, feel comfortable about being in this experience, and then call myself a prisoner? It's a perception, right? So it says right here, we come to you because we love you. You may wish to look upon us and use the term lineage. For within the resonance of beings, within the dramas of creation, and within the dreams of separation, and in the infinite number of worlds that have arisen and continue to arise, a resonance has been created through an infinite number of souls that seem to be separate and individual. That's what's happening in this room. There's a resonance that has been created through the number of souls that seem to be separate and individual. We are merely those who seem to have gone ahead of you a little bit in time. That means we seem to have awakened more thoroughly than you give yourself credit for at this moment. So there are parts of us that have gone further than we have in the awakening process, and so therefore they can help guide us because that part of us is a little bit ahead of us in the whole process. That's good news. In truth, the awakening has already occurred. It's already done. You're just remembering the process of awakening. Great analogy is what? At the end of the day, you're at home. You could sit back in the lounger and you could remember everything that happened that day. So you are remembering you've already awakened, remembering what you went through to awaken. You have already awakened, but all you're doing right now is remembering what you went through and experiencing what you went through in that process. So it's just like me saying, I'm enlightened and I've awakened now and I know who I really am. And part of that process as I look back was I did a class called The Way of Mastery with the group of people that's sitting here now. That was part of my process of awakening. So you've already succeeded at everything you are trying to do as far as getting to the point that you're happy and that you're awake and that you know you're loved. You already have accomplished that. All you're doing right now is seeing what you went through to get to that state. That's deep. So if you really believe that you already succeeded, you be more patient with yourself while you're going through the process.
So that lineage is us talking to ourselves.
Right. Yeah, because it's only us anyway. So a lot of decisions that you've made that have just been the future you that experienced that, giving you instructions about how to get there. You know, it's like there's rich Earl and then there's poor Earl, and then there's rich Earl telling poor Earl that you need to read the Course in Miracles, you need to do the Way of Mastery, you need to meditate, you need to walk, and then you'll turn out like me, rich Earl. But to me, it seems like I'm getting guidance. But it's really because all time is simultaneous. Everything happens at once. If you look at this book is a completed product, the whole thing, right? And so like I've said before, it's a demonstration. Time, linear time is like 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. So it looks like it's one page after another, but the truth is the whole thing is done. So let's say you at the end of the book, and now being at this class tonight was at the middle of the book. And so now I'm looking at the middle of the book. So now I'm looking at the class tonight, but I'm already at the end of the book. So what I'm saying is, this is a journey that's already over. You've already succeeded in waking up. And everything you're going through right now is part of your awakening. And if you looked at it that way, there wouldn't be a bad relationship. There wouldn't be a bad marriage. There wouldn't be a bad job. There wouldn't be a bad anything because you realize that everything was part of the completed book. That's different. And then every page is neutral. And then I decide whether I like this page or don't like this page. So the page is neutral. I read it, and some people will read it and go, oh, that don't make any sense. I don't like that. Somebody else will read it and go, oh, that's the most inspirational thing I've ever read. So that means this is neutral, and then I'm the one that's giving it the meaning it has. So that's what you're doing right now with your book. But you have the power that if you don't like a page, you can rip it out, and you can put in another page. You can change the screenplay, but when it says you can change the screenplay, it's not talking about your ego, it's talking about the real you. You want the real you that loves you to write the whole, not the part of you that don't know today or tomorrow how you're going to feel about yourself. That's not the one you want in charge, right? Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, that future you will guide you to rip out the page that you don't want.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly, and that's i.e. God. You know, God is just another word for God. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's different. You know, it's what we said we want to do tonight. Here's something that's different from the way that we ordinarily think. But some of you all can feel the truth of it. That you can feel a part of you resonating with the whole idea that there's more to this than meets the eye. The problem is we identify too much with our bodies and our genders and our sex. And that's what jams us up. There's a difference between being a being that's expressing as a woman and a being that's expressing as a man and thinking that you are a man trying to be spiritual or a woman trying to be spiritual. If the core of your identity is your gender, then you're still asleep. If you recognize you're something beyond your gender, then you have more control of it. And you don't allow yourself to be controlled by what society and culture says how you're supposed to express yourself. Nothing scares me more than a woman who thinks she's a woman. And nobody scares me more than a man that thinks he's a man. So if I'm with a woman who totally 100% thinks she's a woman, then I know that gender identity is made her forget who she really is as a totally unlimited spiritual being. And the same thing true with the man. You know, that's why a man that makes a big deal out of another man hugging him is a man who thinks he's a man. That's what I'm talking about. So I know that's an unconscious person, and so you just try to be safe around them and nice and peaceful. Because no one that knows who they really are has any kind of sense of it being wrong to experience affection just because somebody's the same gender as you. That's a sign of unconsciousness. But if you think you are that, then you got all kind of moral implications about everything you do. Does that make sense to everybody? You know, if you think you are separate, then you're gonna go along with all of the programming that we got about everything. Now, but you're also aware enough that you know how to express yourself appropriately in any situation that would allow peace to happen. So even if you weren't looking at it the way everybody looks at it, you wouldn't be coming into that situation to try to scare the hell out of everybody by doing something that you know is going to freak them out because you're free. Because no conscious being wants to increase fear in any environment that they're in.
That's not kind.
No, you know, it's not kind to, you know, you know, it's like it's just an attempt to be attacked. That's all the thing's gonna happen. You're just gonna get attacked. That's all. You know, I can't even remember the last time I got into any kind of discussion, argument, debate, or anything else with anybody about my beliefs versus theirs. I don't even remember it. But in the beginning, when I first got into this stuff, it was happening all the time because I was meeting my own old beliefs. I didn't really believe this yet, so I was constantly meeting people who challenged it because I didn't really believe it yet. So they were presenting me with my own subconscious doubts. So then I was getting all the people that go, well, is that against the Bible? Is that in the Bible? Is that right? Is that wrong? Is that? I was getting all that. And now it never happens because I have accepted it as true. So I don't create opposition because I have accepted it as true for myself. So if you're getting a lot of opposition, ask yourself if you really believe what you're talking about. Think about that. If you really believe it, if you've accepted it as true, then he says if there's no conflict within you, there won't be any conflict outside you. That's how you know you're still in conflict, because you're conflicting with everybody around you. Are you a nice person that's always going through hell? Okay, if you're a nice person that's always going through hell, then you have a lot of unconscious guilt that you don't know about. You have a whole lot of inner conflict that you're not owning. I know so many nice people that seem like they're going through hell. And they don't know they're creating it. That's why they go through hell. You always go through hell when you don't know you're creating it. You always go through hell when you don't know you're creating it. You always go through hell when you don't know you're creating it. And you can go through love when you know you're creating it. You can go through love when you know you're creating it. I've decided to be loving to you. That's great. It's my choice. I'm choosing to, right? So he says, you are merely remembering the process of awakening. We come then to you as you would wish to perceive us. That's interesting. I've heard tales of when you make the transition called death, that at the next level you are met by the most comforting image that you believe in. So if your image is that when you die, there'll be angels waiting for you, then they got the angels waiting up in the wings, the people who act like they're angels to make you feel really, really cool. You know?
All right.
Yeah. You know, whatever you need to help make the transition back into remembering who you really are, then it will come. You know, if it needs to be the relatives you think you lost that you really love or whatever. It's like I thought that was really cool. At the level of the dream, in terms of the next happy dream.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what love would do. Love wouldn't want to frighten you. But he said, but for those who need a hell for a minute, it'll look like they're in one. You know, some people think without hell, they're not going to be purged. So, okay, we'll give you a little hell. We'll roll a little hell up. But I thought you had enough since you just left hell. But, you know. The Course in Miracles is a place where it says that fear is hell. You are in hell if you are afraid and you're in a place where anything can happen to you at any time, where it looks like you can lose those that you love, or that you could lack, or that you could lose, or that you could be killed, or that you could be hurt. He says, what else is that but hell? So it's not like we're afraid of going to hell. We're in hell trying to get out. But because you like flat screens, you stay around. Or whatever your thing is, you like to hike. So you stay around to hike in hell. Think about it for a minute, because it says that the truth is, you know, the dreams you like will hold you back as much as the ones you don't like, because a dream you like will make you still want to stay asleep. You know, you won't want to wake up if you're having a good time enjoying some illusion that's pleasing you. You don't want to wake up. So something that's, you know, something that's not real that you like keeps you asleep as much as you're fighting all the things around you you think you don't like keeps you asleep. Because in both cases, you've forgotten that your real joy is in waking up. And there's not a dream you have at night. In most cases, what you wake up to after you've been dreaming doesn't look anything like whatever you were experiencing in the dream. Think about it. Most of the time, your dream doesn't look like the room you're in or the bed you're in. So when we wake up from this one, we're going to wake up into something just as completely different. And we're going to forget this one the way you forgot the one you had last night when you woke up. You don't have a dream and then walk around all day usually pondering that dream. You let that dream go. I don't care what was going on. I don't care how real it was. You move on. That's what you're going to do with this one. You're going to wake up to who you really are and go, wow, that was deep. That was an Earl Purdy dream. That was pretty wow, that was deep, man. So stop taking it all so seriously. It's just a cosmic passion play. It's a drama. It's an act. You're actors that you've forgotten you're acting. So an insane actor is an actor that's forgotten that they're acting and believe they're the role that they're playing. So you're playing the role of mama, sister, daughter, aunt, uncle, cousin, black person, white person, old person, young person, and now you actually think you are that as much as me playing the role of George Washington, and all of a sudden I forget all about Earl Purdy, and now I'm looking for cherry trees. You know what I mean? So that's what the truth is trying to tell us. You're fooled, you're deceived, you've forgotten. And you've forgotten how powerful you are. And you've forgotten that you create everything through your thoughts. And that's all you're meeting is your thoughts. Woo! Anybody want to anybody want to share?
If you don't remember your dreams, what is that? You know, or if you don't sense that you're dreaming?
Well, it just means you're choosing not to remember them. That's all. All you have to do is start making the declaration that you're going to remember your dreams before you go to sleep more every night, and eventually you will start to remember them. It just calls for a conscious decision, you know, to do it. Or you could do it easy. You could go, this is a dream, and I'm going to interpret this one. Right? Because now you're having the dream you are awake. That's what's happening now. Now you're dreaming that you're awake sitting in the chair talking to me. And you think I'm something else other than you. But the one thing you notice when you wake up in the morning and you look back at a dream, you realize that everybody in the dream was your consciousness. That your mind made up everything in the dream, right? It was your dream. So that actually means your mind was the street you walked on. It was the cars that were driving down. So it's not like just you as like the human beings. No, everything is our consciousness. All of it is our consciousness, and all of it's alive. And all of it's cooperating to give us this experience, that one consciousness. I like thinking stuff like that. It'd be amazing it's amazing how quick your reality will change when you start to think like that, because you won't feel trapped. You don't feel like you're trapped when you see it as what it is, a dream compared to the ultimate reality, because you already believe anything can happen in a dream. All of us already believe anything can happen in a dream. So you would change your life faster if you looked at it as a waking dream than if you looked at it as reality. Because if you look at it as reality, you'll feel like you're trapped in it more, that you can't change it. That's just the way it is. Think about it. But you already think anything can happen in a dream. Wow. So when I think that, I immediately feel freer. Just try it sometimes. You feel your whole being react to that. So it says, so we come then to you as we would wish you to perceive us. Some of you see us as far above you. Some of us you see as right next to you. Some believe you could never be equal to us and that you could never be so grand, never so great. That's right. Hanging out with Jesus will give you an inferiority complex. Right? He's walking wild and feeding 5,000 people, and you're having a hard time getting a Snickers bar. You know what I'm saying?
He was too, though.
That's right. That's right. You know what I mean? That's why generally we are around people on the same level of consciousness that we are. And the reason why we know they're on the same level of consciousness that we are is because we can see them. So if you ever have any doubt whether or not you're just like anything, if you see it, you are.
Oh, gee. Yeah.
If you see, because that means you have to be in the same relative frequency, or you wouldn't even be able to see each other. We wouldn't be able to feel each other if we were out of range. So that means we're all in range of each other. So whatever I'm looking at, I know there's a part of me that has that capability, whether I use it or not. I might not murder somebody, but I can sure have murderous thoughts. You know, I might not steal, but I certainly I know that I can steal from myself. You know what I'm saying? So there's no one around you that's reflecting anything other than what you're capable of, but maybe you're choosing not to do it, which is different from condemning somebody because you think you're better than they are. That's a whole different deal. You know, there's a thief. Where am I stealing from myself? You know what I mean? That's somebody that's selfish. Where am I being selfish? So the beautiful thing of seeing somebody else's ego is that it's the easiest way to know what yours look like. So I see something in you and I go, oh my goodness, she's very selfish. Oh, thank you for making me aware that I have selfishness in my perception of myself. So now I can do what's necessary to release that. I wouldn't even talk to you about your selfishness because I know that you just revealed to me my ego. And you make up an ego for everybody you see. You make up a personality and an ego for everybody you see, and you make up an ego for yourself. So what does that mean? I have my image of myself, right? And then I look at you, and then I make up you, which is my perception of you, whatever I think you are like. That's me making up an ego for you. And then without me even talking to you, I'll think about what I'd like to do with the image of you that I've made up. So I change your ego every time I think about you. I make you okay, or I make you unokay. That's me projecting my image of what I think you are. So that's how we know ego's unreal, because they're just the ideas that we have of each other that we change from moment to moment. Like you think you know me, but you don't really know me. You just know the ego you made up for me. You just know the Earl that you made up in your own mind. You don't really know me. And so today you like me, so you give me a good ego that you like. And then one day you don't like me, then you make up an ego about me that you don't like. But it's all going on in your mind, and it has nothing to do with me whatsoever. Because if you were seeing me, you would be ecstatic with joy because I'm so cool. And that's the truth about all of us. If we were really seeing each other correctly, we could scarcely refrain from falling on our knees in gratitude and crying because what we looking at looks so beautiful to us. So until I'm seeing pure beauty, when I look at you, I'm going to accept that I'm not seeing you yet. That's the way I look at it. I'm not seeing you yet. I'm not seeing any of you yet. None of you. I'm telling you that right now. I don't see none of you yet. But that's great. That means you're beyond any images that I make up of you. That's good news. I don't want you limited to my perceptions of you. Don't you see that? I don't want to limit you to the way I think you are or might think you are. That's limiting you harshly. No, I love you too much to make you be what I think you are. The Course in Miracles definition of little is awesome. It said the Course in Miracles definition of little is, it says, anything you think of. I went, that's cold. That's cold. What's little? Anything you think of? Anything you think of. Anything. Don't make no difference what it is. If you think of it, it's the definition of little. Because you're grander than anything you can imagine. So how can I judge somebody I can't even see? Think about that too. If I don't see you, how can I judge you? I don't even see you. I don't even know who you are. I just know what I've learned, and that's what I'm projecting on all of you right now. If you think about it, nothing that we're talking about is abstract. There's nothing we're talking about that's not true right now. You're making up an ego for me, I'm making up an ego for you right now. The reason why we're treating each other the way we're treating each other right now is because of what we're telling each other about this moment and where we are and what we're doing. When you act differently after this class is over and you're interacting more, it'll be because of what you're telling yourself after the class, which is we can interact more. We're always acting according to the meanings that we're giving to everything. Nobody's doing anything to us, period. If I'm not physically attacking you, I'm not attacking you. That's deep. If I'm not physically attacking you, I'm not attacking you. I'm sorry. I can't emotionally abuse you. I can't. Because you're the one that's giving meaning to what I'm doing. And I haven't touched you. So if I call you out of your name and you freak out, you are giving that name the meaning that made you freak out. So I'm not abusing you, you are. Deep. That's why I said you don't have to believe this. You don't have to welcome it. You know, because think about how much juice we get out of thinking somebody else is doing something to us. And especially trying to remember what they did years ago. That's even more insane. What's more delusional than thinking that the way you feel right now is based on something that's not happening right now? What could be more delusional than you telling yourself the way that you feel right now is being caused by something that's not actually happening right now? I feel hurt because my father physically abused me when I was a kid. Is my father physically abusing me right now? No. So if I'm feeling bad about that right now, it is literally because I am still remembering something that's not happening right now. That's why being in the present is the only place you can let that stuff go. You got to be present. Nobody's doing anything to Earl Purdy right now. There's no one in this room smacking me, hitting me, cussing me out. You aren't doing a darn thing to me. Do we all see anybody doing anything to me? Okay, then if I'm unhappy right now, can y'all tell me where it's coming from? Huh?
You.
Now, is that true for you?
Yes.
Is that true for you?
Yes.
Is it, so then we just need to get off it, don't we?
Yeah.
How do we get off it? By telling ourselves the truth right now. That's how we get off it. By appreciating ourselves right now, by choosing what we like to experience right now. That's how we get off it.
I had a really interesting turn working with trying to get beyond letting go of a grievance, in that I started seeing the person as my representative. And it was like, oh, they're representing that part of me
That's right.
that still needs me to love.
That's right.
And my
That's right.
mantra became, I'm just going to love them so much until I melt all separation. And they weren't even in the picture anymore then, because it was all about me.
Absolutely. It is all about you, because there's nothing else but you. What you're going to ultimately learn is that there's nothing else but you. There's nothing outside of you. There's nothing outside of me. That's deep, man. That's deep, because it sure look like it. It look like y'all outside of me. It really does.
Since, like you were saying, you know, not, and I'm really working on that because I used to really love to get hooked into my past, and then I read here, and I'm not quite sure I got it down right, but you know, when he talks about imprinting in the womb.
Now you're going to another part of the book.
Okay.
Okay. No. I don't do that. I don't go off on something else other than what we talk about.
Okay.
All right. That's you reading somewhere else.
That's the past and the future.
I do that. I do that for the sake. I do that for. I've been doing this 35 years. I do that for the sake of focus. It's nothing worse than the class that starts going off in different directions other than what we were talking about. But I appreciate you asking that. But what it means by the imprinting in the womb is that's all part of the agreement that you've made about what you're going to experience when you come here. That if everything is choice, then if everything is choice, and there's never a victim, there's never anyone experiencing anything at any level that's not the consent of their soul, not the consent of their ego.
Yeah.
Okay, then that means that I consented to be a man, I consented to be a black man, I consented to be born in the South, I consented to be born to Joe and Georgia Purdy. I consented to be born in the social, economic, cultural environment that I was born into, because that was the optimum environment to give me the learnings that I need in order to remember myself as love in God. Now imagine what the different take you'd have on your life if you saw it as part of the screenplay that was written for you to recognize yourself. That's what I loved about getting into metaphysical truth, because it got me out of my whole racial victimization thing. Because that's all I heard was, I'm black, I'm a victim. I'm black, I'm a victim. I'm black, I'm a victim. I'm a minority, I'm a victim. I'm a minority, I'm a victim. And it sure looked like it. It sure looked like it. So part of awakening is learning how to look beyond appearances. You don't judge a book by its cover when you're waking up. You start paying attention to the content more than the form. So it says, would you move over? It said, some look at us and smile and say, would you move over and let me get on with this? All perception still falls within the realm of illusion. There is not a perception that's not unreal. There's no such thing as a real perception. There's no such thing as a way of looking at things that won't change. There's no such thing as a way of looking at things that won't change, even if it looks like it's changing for the better. So never believe that any perception is permanent. So that would be the same as saying never believe that anybody you're around are going to always act the same and always have a personality that never changes. Right? And then it goes, truth comes by revelation. And then it says in the Course in Miracles, revelation is unspeakable love. So when you have love that's so powerful that you're feeling and experiencing that you can't even speak, there are not words to even speak what it's like, now you're getting close to the truth. So the closer you get to reality, the less you can talk about it. That's deep. The more you talk about it, the further you're away from it. Because something that's real is beyond concepts and words. You know, have you ever been frustrated because you felt something so strongly for somebody you could not put it into words, you could not get it across to them what you were feeling? That's how you know you were moving towards something real. You didn't have any words to really explain it. So you kind of just want that part of you to just feel it and get it. If I'm doing a whole lot of talking with somebody, it's a red flag for me. I'm telling you, if I'm with somebody and I'm having to explain myself constantly and try to get them to understand me and try to understand what I'm saying and all that, it's like, oh, okay, we're not really connected. Not really. I shouldn't have to explain myself this much if we were on the same wavelength. You know, if you got two people that love football, they shouldn't be spending a lot of time explaining how football operates to each other, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they're both into it, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing is true in every area. If you're with somebody that's really compatible to you, why are you explaining the game to them? Y'all in the same game. That's why you're compatible. But the ego part of us, the part of us that thinks we deserve to suffer, it purposely chooses everything that opposes the opposite, because that guarantees conflict. Conflict guarantees a feeling of being separate, and that's what the ego is, the part of us that wants to think it's separate from everything and separate from God. And it can do it through anger and conflict. It sounds, it's not, you see how simple that is? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Those are very simple concepts that I'm sharing with you. And it's true. He says, I and my Father are one is only the utterance of inadequate words pointing to or reflecting a certain revelation of truth. Okay, any questions, any comments about anything? I'm feeling the need to ask that. Everybody clear? Huh? We love you because you are who we are. I love you because you are what I am. Right? So in the end, there is only Christ, which is the loving self, the one self we share. That's the Christ. In the end, there's only the one self that we share loving the one self that we share back into wholeness, a wholeness that was never truly lost in the first place. So we're going to love ourselves back into a love that we always had and didn't know it. My relationship should remind me that I am loved and I've always been loved, but I forgot it. So your love helps stimulate the remembrance of my love. That's what a relationship should be. It should be, you're like an amnesia victim that needs someone to snap you out of it. So you've forgotten that you're perfect, you've forgotten that you're loved, so you need someone that reminds you of your value. So that you'll remember it. And once you've had a relationship or a friendship with somebody that truly values you and truly appreciates you, I guarantee you, you will not be tempted by this secondhand, pathetic kind of love that most people give each other out of insecurity and fear. It won't even attract you anymore. It'll turn you on. It'll turn you on to be around somebody that appreciates you, and it will turn you off to be around somebody that doesn't. You won't even be tempted by them. I don't care what they look like. You might be a little tempted.
Just
Just a little tiny bit, you know.
She's so good.
That's right, because I have seen some butts that made me forget the truth. I have. It has occurred. I'd have to fess up that it has occurred. Okay. I know it's never happened to none of you. None of y'all have ever been attracted to anybody by what they look like or their body. You know, I know. I can't believe he said that. People are getting butt transplants for nothing. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
It's because they know there's some people they don't care about nothing else. You know. I love your eyes. I love your eyes. I love your eyes. Oh, I could just look into your eye. Oh, your eyes. But that says nothing about what I think. It says nothing about how much I value you, or how nice I'm going to be. You know. But haven't you been attracted to people because of their physical features? Absolutely, but don't feel guilty about that. Don't feel, because it's not appropriate to feel guilty as a solution to anything. You know, don't feel guilty. Just if you make a mistake, say I'm not going to do that anymore, and don't do it. That's the only afterward message. Feeling guilty just guarantees you're going to do it again. You keep making somebody feel guilty, they're just going to do it over and over and over and over again, because the guilt is what they want when they don't love themselves. They want to feel bad. They want to be punished. So you actually feeding the very monster you're trying to get rid of when you try to make people feel guilty. Make them feel guilty, they'll do it again. Woo! Think about how many things you felt guilty about that you've done again. And you know I'm telling the truth. You know I'm telling the truth. Feeling guilty does not stop you from doing anything.
No.
As a matter of fact, it's the thing that propels you in the beginning. You know, it's like a drug. The feeling of guilt is almost like a drug. You get addicted to it. And when you're around somebody that's not making you feel guilty, you want to get away from them. If you're now addicted to the feeling of guilt, you wouldn't know how to act in the presence of somebody that was treating you wonderfully. You'd probably say you weren't even turned on by them. I don't turn on people who don't love themselves. They're not attracted to me. Somebody that wants to be abused and misused are not attracted to someone that's kind and loving. They're not interested. Doesn't happen. So your protection is how loving you are. If you're loving, you're not going to attract the crazy part of yourself that wants to hurt you. It won't even be drawn to you at all. In no way. And you'll draw out that part of your boss, your friend, your mate, your parent, that's also loving, because we're all the same. So if there's any loving part of you, there's a loving part of them. So you can tune into the loving part of them. That's why some people treat you better than they treat other people. It's because you're tuning into the part of them that's loving, and the other person is tuning into the part of them that's not. That's why you know what I mean? Think about that for a minute, because you all know that. You all know people who treat you nicer than they treat somebody else. Why? It's the same person. Well, you're asking for the way you're being treated, and they're asking for the way they're being treated. It's not one parent love one child more than the other. No, this child is bringing out this trait in the parent, and this child is bringing out another. When I listen to my brothers, 7 of us, when I listen to my brothers and sisters talk about our mother, it sounds like they're talking about another person. Every one of them describes a different person for a mother. All of them had a different experience. When I hear the stories, I go, you did that with my daddy, or you did, my mama told you that, or you mean you had that experience with my sister? You know, it's like they're talking about somebody you don't even know, because you're the one that's drawing out the personality from people that you are experiencing. It's like tuning into a radio station, and you tune into this person on channel 5, and somebody else tune into this person on channel 8. But it's the same radio. You just tune it into different channels. You are radios, but different people tune into different levels of channels and consciousness with you. That's why I like to be with people on a one-on-one just as much as I like to be with people in the group, because people will show you more of their authentic self if they feel safe on a one-on-one, because that's when they can be however they want to be without being afraid of how someone else is going to react to it. Most of you know you've had the most fun by yourself with somebody than you ever had with a group. Like a group like this, we'll never have real fun. Because unless we are very enlightened, everybody's going to be consciously, unconsciously thinking about how everybody else is going to think about however they're expressing themselves, and wondering if they're breaking some kind of rules, or you don't know how far to go, or what's okay, or what's not okay, or you know what I'm saying. So groups like this, the best you can do is hear about the way you'll really be one day. Until you actually get there. But when you get there, you know it, because like I told this once before, a long time ago. You know, we were doing a class on the body and the innocence of the body. And everybody was saying, okay, the body is innocent, the body is innocent. You know, you're not true students. Oh yeah, the body is innocent. We all innocent. The body is innocent. You know, we not really our bodies, we all innocent. So I said, okay. And so I came into the class with just a hat on. And that's all I had on was a hat.
You can leave your hat on.
And all of a sudden I saw how everybody really believed about the body. Because it's different between talking this stuff. So those who were full of guilt, of course, they were embarrassed or felt self-conscious. Those who felt guilt about the body, didn't think the body was, because notice I said I just came in and sat down. I didn't touch anybody. I didn't ask anybody to touch my body. I didn't ask anything to happen with anybody. Because I wanted to see the reaction of who was actually saw the body as innocent. Now, I'm not going to do that with y'all. Okay, because I know I couldn't do it with y'all, because you already shown me how conservative you are by the way you express yourself around me. So I know already to not do that, because there's nothing we do that's unusual. There's nothing we do out of the norm in terms of how we behave together. Does it make sense to everybody?
Well, is that class online?
No. That before it even was the internet. Because over the years I've taught different type of people on different levels of consciousness with different levels of openness. So it's not putting you all down. I'm just saying that as you become more conscious, you know what's safe and what's not. There was no scandal, there was no attack, there was no anything, because I wasn't trying to get anything. But people project their feelings onto you, so they would try to use that situation in a different way, so they would project that on me. That's what you got to understand. People project their stuff on you, but you don't have to buy it, and you don't have to let it affect the way you express yourself at all. I feel innocent about my body, so therefore I don't attract drama around it. But if I didn't, I'd attract a lot of drama. You know, so it's easy to tell how awake you are about how much guilt and fear you have about the natural expression of yourself, and you also know when is the safest place and time to express yourself. You get an uncanny sense of what's proper in the right time, in the right place. You know, I've taught the Course in Miracles in nudist colonies. You know, I've taught the Course in Miracles in very conservative places. Because if you're waking up, you are able to adapt yourself to any environment that you go to. So you're not limited in how and where you can express yourself. And you're free. But it's in direct proportion to how innocent you feel and how much you feel like everybody's one with you. So sometimes when people hear that they're innocent, then they do things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. They go buck wild. And then they do all kinds of things that they wouldn't normally do because they've heard they're innocent. So they can take all their little subconscious fantasies that they felt guilt about And then they'll try to go out and act them out. Well, they said I'm innocent, so now I can go out and do this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? And then they forget that they haven't really changed their mind. So they go ahead and do things against their normal morals, and then they crucify themselves later when the guilt that they feel because of their old programming comes up. So I'm telling you that as you recognize your innocence and you begin to hear what these books are saying, your ego is going to tempt you to do things that are very out of the ordinary for you, just to crucify you later for doing it. To get you back to feeling guilty, to get you back to feeling that trying to express myself in a loving, expansive way is a mistake, and everything we just read is a mistake. Now, out of everything that I've said tonight, now the temptation would be to only hear about saying I taught the class in a hat. Because I know how people feel about stuff. I know where to stick out, so to speak. Okay, so. But I'm telling you, you'll never feel so safe as you'll feel around people who are beginning to understand that they're innocent. There's different as night and days from people who believe in guilt and sin. And so as you side with your innocent mind, the first thing you'll notice is when you're around people who feel innocent and don't have hang-ups about their body or who they are, they never want you to do anything that's exactly what you want to do, and they never want to make you do anything against your will at all. Because conscious beings know that nothing is more important than acting out of total willingness and for no other reason. So they would never try to get you to do anything or join in. That's what guilty people do. So as you begin to love yourself more, you're going to attract people to you that don't condemn you and accept you as you are and love you because you are them, just like this was saying. My brothers and sisters are with me. Here I am. They are who I am. And we are who you are. And you're awesome. That's what you are. So don't worry. Not only am I not going to come here nude, I probably have more clothes next week than I got on right now. I have a burqa next week. When I come, y'all just see two big eyes, out of here. So could we acknowledge
Will you
ourselves?
be naked underneath the
Oh, yes. I admit it. I admit that I'm naked underneath my clothes.
I knew it.
You knew it, didn't you?
I knew it.
I knew it, yeah. I know it. I promise you. So let's do the financial expression of appreciation, you juicy beings. Let me get the. You all are so cool. Now, when I said that now, was there anybody here that was tempted to have judgment?
Said what?
When I said that about doing the class next.
No, I just want you to wait till it's warmer outside.
Honestly, if nobody felt uncomfortable in the least, at all.
I was really uncomfortable.
Yeah, because you weren't there.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Okay, that's what you was
I was
uncomfortable.
in my dream state.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, because I want my classes to be real. I want my classes to be very real. And to me, that's unlimited communication without fear. So don't ever feel like in my class that you have to talk holy. Because there's no such thing as talking holy. There's just talking authentically. And that is holy. An honest expression is
I was
holy.
wondering how I react, like how long it would take me before I was like, okay.
Yeah. That was part two of it. Yeah. So it's like when I walked to hot coals. The ones I saw my friends do,
Yeah.
then
Then
I
you
did
did
it.
it.
Yeah, because if they could do it, I could do it.
Right.
And that's the way it is. That's why it's good to be around equals. When you see your friends become more sane and more loving, you believe you can become more sane and loving. So that's why we're so helpful to each other. You're not your bodies. You're going to only have them temporarily. And so love is the only thing we can take with us. That's it. So those of you who there's a big interest in the seminar, much more than I imagined was going to happen. So what I want to do is say, those of you that can go ahead and make the financial investment for the seminar, I would advise you to do it as quickly as you could, those who really want to
This is
do
what
it.
you were talking about February 6th?
Yeah, the one that I'm doing on February 6th. It's called an advanced mind training, heart training. And
Advanced
it's
mind and heart training?
Yeah, but it's going to be very much centered in the course in the Will Mastery. But very deep. As deep as we can go for a day. See, I'm just getting warmed up. And and for many people, it's like, God damn, I'm ready to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's like, this stuff turns me on. It moves me. It's like music to my ears. It makes me feel good to hear this. It's not a sacrifice to do this. So people who come to a workshop are usually people that it's not a sacrifice to do it. So there's a whole, it's like going to college as opposed to being in high school. You got to go to high school. That's one attitude. College, that's your choice. So most people in college are there because for whatever reason they're choosing to be there. And that's the way I feel about workshops. It's like that. It's because there's more of an investment, whether it's financially, it's more of an investment of time. So usually people come in with a much greater desire and appreciation for what's coming down. So it allows us to go much deeper because we have time, so we won't feel so rushed, and then we can actually go through the transformations that it's talking to and talking about. And I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to do that.
So it's not so much how deep a person is into the course as much as they're willing to come to the workshop.
The reason why I say that about being deep into the course or having some familiarity that you're studying it is because I'm also gearing this more toward people who are dedicated, are committed, are interested, and they want to go deeper. It's the difference between, somebody, wanting to do regular arithmetic and they're ready for some algebra. I want to get into the deeper truth. So my experience is that willingness is the most important thing. But if you really don't have a genuine desire for the truth and to hear something deep and different, it's just going to put you to sleep. You're just going to go to sleep. That's all. And that's innocent. But that's what's going to happen. So I encourage people not to waste their money like that. It's like if you're going to come, be excited about the possibility of what we can do that day. It's not going to be a day of me trying to entertain people, even though it's going to be entertaining because we are. So that's just the nature of us. So, but I'm not going to spend one instant trying to keep anybody awake at all.
You're not going to just wear a hat.
No, I promise you I won't just wear a hat. No, because that would take everything in the opposite direction of where I wanted to go, which is toward fearlessness. Right? We know that's true. If I came in just a hat, that'd be the worst thing I could possibly do. It just would be crazy. It just wouldn't make any sense. And that was me trying to prove something to myself, and I don't really have anything to prove to myself like that right now. That was me trying to prove something to myself, and I was 30.
I would have done it then too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I did.
I did, yes.
Yeah, just think about
That's right.
it. That's what I'm thinking. You really would have loved my course classes when I was in my 40s. You would have been like, midlife crisis hit me. It was the best thing that ever happened to my class. I still got it. I know I still got it. Oh, I love it. So those of you online, if you want to make a financial expression of appreciation, I really thank you. And just go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and I'm available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions, and you go to my website and it explains that. All right. Been having some great sessions with people. Okay. Take a breath. We got a couple of minutes. So let's bring this in for a landing. You all are such a blessing in my life that I cannot, like he said, I have an unspeakable love for you. My biggest frustration is I can't get it out the way I feel it for you. My dream is to get rid of whatever blocks that would keep you all from feeling my love and appreciation. I want to move you emotionally. I want the Holy Spirit to move people through me emotionally. Because people remember what they feel more than what they hear and what they think. And so when you think about people, you really remember more about the way you made yourself feel with them than anything else about them. It's feelings that count the most. They're what imprints us. Every loving thought restores you to your rightful place. Every loving thought restores you to your rightful place. Every loving thought restores you to your rightful place. Every loving thought restores you to your rightful place. Every loving thought restores me to my rightful place. Every loving thought restores me to my rightful place. Every loving thought restores you to your rightful place. Every loving thought, that means every freeing thought restores you to your rightful place. Every freeing thought, every thought you have that supports your freedom. And freedom is of the mind. Freedom comes from having a mind that doesn't feel guilty, doesn't feel angry, doesn't feel separate, doesn't feel lack. Freedom is a state of mind, and the body can't help but follow. The body can't help but be wherever the mind and the heart is. Don't worry about your body. Your body is going to be wherever your mind and your heart is. So if you want your body to be in a safe, loving environment, put your mind in a safe, loving environment. Have safe, loving thoughts, and your body will find itself in an environment that is safe and loving. That's all you deserve. You are the good, you are the holy, and you are the beautiful. And holy means innocent. So you are the good, you are the innocent, and you are friggin' beautiful. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming out, Holy Spirits. Let's give it up for us. Let's have some enthusiasm for us. How about that? Yeah. Let's give ourselves what we want everybody else to give us. Hugs are actually available. And if you're not on the contact list, sign the contact list so I can send you the links to the videos. And let's welcome Dawn. She just moved here to Denver. Yes. It's good to have her here. That's another part of ourselves. She told me next week she coming in a hat.
Maybe some boots too.